Was Daenerys always destined to fall? In the final moments of Game of Thrones, one decision shocked millions of viewers. The woman who once freed slaves became the queen who burned an entire city. But what if this ending was never sudden? What if the fall of Daenerys Targaryen had been written into her story from the very beginning? Today, we examine the rise and the fall of the last dragon. Welcome, members of the Council. You are now seated at the Dragon Council, where we study the rulers, wars, and hidden truths of the world created by George R.R. Martin. If you enjoy deep lore, character analysis, and fan theories from Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and A Song of Ice and Fire, then you have come to the right chamber. Let us review the record. Part 1. The Girl Without Power. When we first meet Daenerys Targaryen, she is not a conqueror. She is a frightened young woman controlled by her brother, Viserys Targaryen. Viserys constantly reminds her of their lost throne, and he dreams obsessively of reclaiming it. But Daenerys, at this point, has no ambition for power, only survival. She is sold into marriage to Khal Drogo, leader of the Dothraki. At first, she is powerless, but slowly, something changes. She begins to find strength. She begins to find her voice. And for the first time, she begins to imagine a different future. Then comes the moment that changes everything. After Drogo's death, Daenerys walks into fire and emerges unharmed, with 3 living dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, Viserion. For the first time in centuries, dragons have returned to the world, and with them, a Targaryen queen. The Targaryen legacy. To understand Daenerys Targaryen, we must first understand the dynasty she comes from. The House Targaryen ruled Westeros for nearly 300 years, but their power was always tied to one thing: dragons. The dynasty was founded by Aegon I Targaryen, known as Aegon the Conqueror, who united the 7 kingdoms through fire and fear. With his sisters, Visenya Targaryen and Rhaenys Targaryen, Aegon conquered Westeros from the skies. Their dragons burned armies, destroyed castles, and forced kings to bend the knee. From the beginning, Targaryen rule carried a terrifying truth. Power backed by dragons is almost impossible to challenge. But that power came with a dangerous reputation. Throughout history, the Targaryens were known for brilliance and madness. There is an old saying in Westeros: when a Targaryen is born, the gods toss a coin. This reputation was solidified by the rule of Aerys II Targaryen, known to history as the Mad King. His reign ended in paranoia, cruelty, and wildfire. And his madness ultimately sparked Robert's Rebellion, the war that destroyed the Targaryen dynasty. Daenerys grew up hearing stories of that fall, stories of betrayal, stories of stolen birthrights, and perhaps most dangerously, stories of destiny. Part 2. The Liberator. During her journey through Essos, Daenerys becomes something extraordinary: a liberator. She frees the Unsullied in Astapor. She defeats the slave masters of Yunkai. She conquers Meereen, and her followers begin calling her many names: Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, Misa, which means mother. To millions of fans, Daenerys represented hope, justice, freedom. But even here, the warning signs begin to appear. Part 3. The Warning Signs. Daenerys believes she knows what is right, and when she sees injustice, her response is absolute punishment. She orders the crucifixion of the Masters of Meereen. Even though some may have opposed the crimes she is punishing, justice becomes vengeance, and vengeance becomes power. Throughout her journey, advisors attempt to guide her: Tyrion Lannister, Ser Jorah Mormont, Barristan Selmy. They remind her that ruling requires restraint, but Daenerys increasingly believes she is destined to reshape the world. One of her most revealing lines says everything: "I will take what is mine with fire and blood." This is not just ambition. It is the traditional Targaryen approach to power, the same mindset used by Aegon I Targaryen, and the same thinking that led to the madness of her father, Aerys II Targaryen, the Mad King. The Prophecy and Destiny. In the books written by George R.R. Martin, prophecy plays a powerful role in Daenerys' story. One of the most mysterious moments occurs in the House of the Undying. There, Daenerys experiences visions that may foreshadow her future. She walks through the throne room in King's Landing, but something is wrong. Snow, or perhaps ash, falls from the sky. The throne is within reach, but Daenerys never touches it. Instead, she turns away. Some fans believe this moment predicted the destruction of the city long before it happened. Another prophecy often connected to Daenerys is the legend of Azor Ahai, the hero who will save the world from darkness. Many characters believe that a prince or princess promised will rise to defeat the coming night. Daenerys, with her dragons and her Targaryen bloodline, appears to fit this prophecy perfectly. But the world of Westeros has always treated prophecy as something dangerous. Characters who believe too strongly in destiny often create the very tragedies they seek to avoid. And this raises an important question. Did Daenerys believe she was chosen to save the world? Or did that belief slowly justify every decision she made? Part 4. The Fall of King's Landing. By the time Daenerys finally reaches Westeros, the situation has changed dramatically. She has lost many of the people who kept her grounded. Ser Jorah is gone fighting during the long night against the White Walkers. Missandei is executed by Cersei Lannister after her capture by the Greyjoy fleet. 2 of her dragons are dead. Viserion is killed by the Night King, and Rhaegal is struck down into the sea by a scorpion bolt. She discovers that Jon Snow may have a stronger claim to the throne. Her closest advisors begin questioning her decisions and even betray her in the end. Varys conspires to advance Jon Snow's claim to the throne along with Tyrion Lannister. For the first time in her life, Daenerys feels truly alone. When the bells of surrender ring in King's Landing, signaling that the war is already won, Daenerys makes a radical choice. Instead of accepting victory, she unleashes dragonfire on the city, killing thousands of innocents and turning a whole city into ash. The destruction shocks the world, and the queen who once freed the slaves across the narrow sea now becomes the ruler who destroyed a capital. Part 5. Destiny or Tragedy? So was Daenerys always destined to fall? There are 2 major interpretations. The first is Targaryen destiny. Her father was known as the Mad King, and Targaryen history contains many rulers who were unstable or destructive. From this perspective, Daenerys may have simply followed the same tragic path. But the second interpretation is more complicated. Daenerys may not have been born a tyrant. Instead, she may have been shaped by constant war, betrayal, grief, and isolation. Without the people who once guided her, and after her life's suffrage, her worst instincts eventually took control. In that sense, her story becomes less about destiny and more about power without restraint. The cost of power. By the final season, Daenerys has lost nearly everyone who helped guide her. Missandei is executed. Ser Jorah Mormont dies protecting her. Even her dragons begin to fall. The queen who once inspired devotion now finds herself surrounded by fear and suspicion. Her closest ally, Jon Snow, begins to distance himself. Her advisors question her judgment, and the people of Westeros never embrace her the way the freed slaves of Essos once did. This isolation changes Daenerys, because throughout history, rulers who believe they are alone often become dangerous. They stop listening, they stop trusting, and eventually, they begin ruling through fear instead of loyalty. By the time Daenerys reaches King's Landing, her identity has shifted. She no longer sees herself as a liberator. She sees herself as something else, a force of destiny. And in her mind, destiny justifies everything. Conclusion. The story of Daenerys Targaryen remains one of the most debated arcs in Game of Thrones and a song of ice and fire. Some believe her fall was inevitable. Others believe it was a tragic transformation. But one thing is certain. Her story reflects one of the central lessons of Westeros. Power can liberate. Power can inspire. But without wisdom, power can also destroy everything. Books versus show analysis. One of the biggest debates among fans is whether Daenerys' fall will happen the same way in the books. In the novels of A Song of Ice and Fire, Daenerys is still far from Westeros. Her story in Meereen is far more complicated. She struggles with ruling, with justice, and with the consequences of power. Many readers believe the books will portray her transformation more gradually, which means the tragedy of Daenerys may not be sudden at all, but inevitable. So now the question returns to you, members of the Council. Was Daenerys Targaryen always destined to fall? Or did the world create the Mad Queen? Let me know your verdict in the comments below. If you enjoy deep dives into the history and mysteries of Westeros, subscribe to the Dragon Council. Future council sessions will explore the truth about Rhaegar Targaryen, the secrets of Old Valyria, and the real prophecy of Azor Ahai. Until the next council meeting, the realm remembers.